Okay, counsel, you may continue.
Thank you, Your Honor. Ms. Potter, before we left for the break, we were walking through what happened on April 11th. You'd agree that for a large part of the interaction at the side of the car with Mr. Wright, you were standing behind Officer Lucky, right?
I was next to him at some point.
Okay. And you testified on direct that after you saw a scared look in Sergeant Johnson's face, that's why you decided to use the taser? That was your testimony?
Yes.
But you also told Dr. Miller that you don't know why you decided to use the taser, right?
I haven't seen his report.
Would it refresh your recollection to see his report?
Yes, please.
May I approach Your Honor?
You may.
Did you have a chance to look at that, Ms. Potter?
Yes.
And did you see the portion where it explains, when asked by this examiner why she decided to draw her taser, Officer Potter states, "I don't have an answer. My brain said grab the taser." Do you recall that?
I don't recall it, but it's in his paperwork.
So, on April 11th, you reached down and drew your weapon, right?
Yes.
And you said taser, 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 so Officer Lucky and Sergeant Johnson would disengage, right?
Yes.
And they did disengage, didn't they? They let go of Dante Wright and stepped back?
According to the video.
And after you shot Dante Wright, you said, "Shit, I just shot him. I grabbed the wrong fucking gun and I shot him. I'm going to go to prison and I killed a boy." You said all those things, right?
I don't remember.
If that's what's in the video, that's what you said, right?
Yes.
And you said that there are a lot of things that you don't remember, and that on direct you testified that your memory came back when you saw your husband that day. But didn't you tell Dr. Miller that you remember seeing the gun in your right hand? You said that, right?
I don't remember. My interview with him, I was distraught. I wasn't in a good place.
After you shot Dante Wright, you didn't behave like someone who had just saved Sergeant Johnson's life, did you?
I was very distraught. I just shot somebody. I've never done that.
Well, you never asked Sergeant Johnson if he was okay, right?
I don't remember the conversations.
You didn't check in on him at all, right?
I don't know.
Well, you saw the video when Sergeant Johnson fed you the line, "That guy was trying to take off with me." You didn't bite, right? You didn't respond to that at all, did you?
The video, I was crying. I was in shock.
And he was trying to make you feel better, wasn't he?
The objection is sustained.
Well, he didn't remember saying it, right? You heard that testimony?
Yes.
And you don't remember him saying that, right?
No.
And you didn't say anything like, thank God I shot that guy and saved your life. You didn't say anything like that, right?
After that is argument.
The objection is overruled.
You didn't say that, right?
No.
And you didn't ask Sergeant Johnson anything except to call Chuck, right?
I don't remember what I asked him.
That would be on the video, right?
Yes.
You'd agree that as a police officer, you have the duty to render aid and communicate information to other officers, right?
Yes.
And it's part of your job to assist those who are hurt or injured, true?
Yes.
And to communicate to other officers what you know about a particular scene, right?
Yes.
Give them whatever information you can to help them do their jobs, to help render assistance, things like that, right?
Yes.
But you didn't do any of those things on April 11th, did you?
No.
You stopped doing your job completely. You didn't communicate what happened over the radio, right?
No.
You didn't make sure any officers knew what you had just done, right?
No.
You didn't run down the street and try to save Dante Wright's life, did you?
No.
You didn't check on the other car that had been hit, did you?
No.
That all happened just down the road from you.
Yes.
You were focused on what you had done, because you had just killed somebody.
I'm sorry it happened. I'm so sorry.
Miss Potter, from your reaction today, and from your reaction on your video, you didn't plan to use deadly force that day, did you?
No.
You didn't want to use deadly force, did you?
That's irrelevant. If she planned it or wanted it, it's a construction fact.
The objection is overruled.
You didn't.
No.
Because you knew that deadly force was unreasonable and unwarranted in those circumstances.
I didn't want to hurt anybody.
You didn't want to hurt anybody. And you didn't want to kill anybody.
No.
And that's why you said, I'm going to go to prison.
I don't.
That's 3 times now, Your Honor. Repetition.
All right. The objection is sustained.
Miss Potter, you know the difference between left and right, don't you?
That's objective now. She's asked that before. It's argumentative.
It's not been asked, Your
The
Honor.
objection is sustained. It's argumentative.
Nothing further, Your Honor.
Miss Potter, do you need a break?
No.
Okay.
Just going to ask you a few questions. Do you remember your visit by Zoom with Dr. Miller? A little bit at least.
We had a Zoom interview, yes.
Okay, and that was Miller in Florida, correct, as far as we know.
Yes.
And you and me were in my office, correct?
Yes.
And that was the first time that you had ever seen any of the video, correct?
Yes.
And were you able to watch it?
No.
And you did tell Mr. Miller that when Wright pulled away and got back into the driver's seat of the car, which was still running, Potter, that you could observe Johnson and Lucky struggling over the console, and it appeared that Johnson was trying to prevent Wright from putting the car in drive.
Objection leading.
The objection is overruled.
If you don't remember that, because it was a while ago, I can show it to you to refresh your memory.
I don't remember.
My approach, Your Honor.
You may.
Read to yourself, Ms. Potter, the last sentence of the second to the last paragraph. Does that refresh your memory as to what you told him?
Yes.
And did you tell him that? Pardon me, I didn't hear you.
If it's in there, I must have. That day is so blurry.
Did you also tell them that you yelled taser, 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 so your partners would disengage from Wright?
Yes.
And just a few more questions here. Would it be routine, thinking back when you're a law enforcement officer for 26 years, would it be routine for you to unsnap your holster on the way to a car?
No.
And why not?
I'm only 5'3". If I would get into a fight, I could lose my gun.
Did you ever, in your career, shoot your gun at anybody?
No.
Did you ever shoot your gun in real life during your career?
No.
And did you ever shoot your taser during your career?
It was never deployed.
Is that what it means?
Yes.
And that would be real life. That would be when you have to use those weapons, that would mean it was an emergency situation, would it not?
Objection leading.
Well, what would it mean to you?
Objection is sustained. I'll rephrase it.
Yeah, sorry. Thank you, Judge. What would that mean to you if you had to shoot your weapon?
That I might kill somebody.
When you three law enforcement officers, and excuse me, by the way, as far as reporting this shooting, would it be Sergeant Johnson, your boss, would be the one that would be required to do that?
Objection leading.
Well,
Well,
rephrase it.
that. Who would be required, according to policy, to report the shooting? Would it be the shooter or the other person who was in charge there?
On that scene, it would have been Sergeant Johnson.
Because he was your supervisor, correct?
Yes.
And I got a couple more questions. If you stopped a vehicle in Brooklyn Center and you learned that there was a bench warrant for a weapons violation, you learned that there was a temporary restraining order a female had lodged against the person that said he was in the car, that gave his identity. But he really did, Mr. Wright, ever give a valid identification for himself?
No.
And the other office, now you've got no valid information, you've got a gross misdemeanor, you got a temporary restraining order, you got marijuana smelled by your partner, you got no license, no insurance. Would you let that car go if you went up to it and were attempting to handcuff the individual and the car, he jumped back in? Would you have thought you should let him go right down the street?
No.
On the temporary restraining order, if you learn there is a temporary restraining order, is it protocol? Is it policy to, as soon as you learn that, jump out of the passenger side, run up to the car and ask the lady what her name was? Has that ever been heard of in police practice that you know of?
No.
Thank you, ma'am. That's all I have, Judge.
Is there any recross?
Yes, Your Honor. Ms. Potter, you were asked about some statements that you made to Dr. Miller on redirect, right?
Yes.
You also told Dr. Miller that you resigned on April 12th to protect your police family, right?
Judge, I object to this improper re-cross-examination. I never got into that. I just got
Okay,
into one statement.
Your Honor, the statements to Dr.
Yes.
Miller are at issue.
I'm going to overrule the objection. You may answer that.
You told him that, right?
Can you repeat the question?
You told Dr. Miller that you resigned on April 12th to protect your police family, right?
If it's in the report, yes. I haven't seen the report except today.
Well, if it's in the report that you also said that they're very important people to you, would that be accurate?
Yes.
You have a very close relationship with the police officers, other individuals you work with or used to work with at Brooklyn Center, right?
Some of them.
Sergeant Johnson is a good friend of yours.
Judge, I object to this. Is outside the scope.
The objection is sustained beyond the scope.
You also told Dr. Miller that you don't make mistakes, right? You told him that?
If it's in the report, yes.
And you told him that you don't want to hurt or injure anybody, right?
Right?
But you mentioned to Dr. Miller your relationship with the individuals that you work with, right?
Yes.
And that was very important to you, right?
Yes.
You advocated for their interests in a lot of settings, didn't you, for the people that you worked with?
I advocate for everybody.
You had a very close relationship with them. You referred to Sergeant Johnson as a rock star, haven't you?
I don't know when I would have done that.
Nothing further, Your Honor.
Go ahead, Mr. Gray.
In all of your years there as experience in all of the patrols that you conducted, did you have to rely on your partners for assistance anytime you did a stop or an investigation of any nature?
Yes.
And that would be the family of the police department at Brooklyn Center, correct?
Yes.
And they were your second family, weren't they?
Yes.
As far as complaints, in the 26 years that you were a police officer, did you ever have one citizen complaint?
Objection, Your Honor, as to the scope.
The objection is sustained beyond the scope.
I have no further questions.
Any further cross?
No, Your Honor.
All right. You may step down.
Thank you.
Judge Russ.
Does the state have rebuttal?
I'm sorry, Your Honor.
Does the state have any rebuttal witnesses the defense has rested?
We do not, Your Honor. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Members of the jury, all the testimony is in. So what's going to happen is that on Monday morning, I'm going to give you the instructions of law you need to apply in rendering your verdict, and then the attorneys will have a chance to do their final arguments to you. Now, so we're starting on Monday. I've got to read the cautionary long version again so that you don't do any research. Don't let outsiders influence you. This includes family members and friends and anyone else who is not actually involved in this trial. Don't discuss the case with other jury members during the trial. Again, you'll have plenty of time to do this at the end of the trial. Once you have had all the evidence, I've sent you to the jury room with my instructions and the verdict forms. Don't talk to anyone involved in the case, of course, the defendant, the lawyers, or the witnesses. If anyone tries to discuss this case with you outside the courtroom, please report this to me. When you go home over the weekend, do not talk to your family, friends, or others about the case. You may tell them that you are a juror on a criminal case, and that is all that you should tell them. Do not report your experiences as a juror while the trial and deliberations are going on. Do not email, blog, tweet, text, or post anything to Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, Google, YouTube, or other social networking sites about this trial, even if I have not specifically mentioned other social media sites. Don't visit any chat rooms where this case may be discussed. Do not read or listen to news reports on newspapers, magazine, radio, television, podcasts, or other media about this case. Don't do your own investigation. Do not ask people about the case. Do not visit any of the locations mentioned in the trial. Do not use internet map applications such as MapQuest or Google Earth or similar mapping media to view the locations. Do not research anything about the case, including the issues, evidence, parties, witnesses, location, or the law through any form of written, print, electronic, or internet media, including Google, Safari, Firefox, Bing, or other similar search engine. Do not create your own demonstrations or reenactments of the events which are the subject of the case. Remember, you can't consider anything you hear or learn about this case outside this courtroom. If you don't follow these instructions, again, you may jeopardize the trial and we might have to start all over again. If you become aware that another juror may have violated any of these rules, you need to let me know that. Okay? So, members of the jury, first of all, I want to thank you for your attention during this trial. I want you to have a good weekend, and we'll reconvene on Monday at 9 o'clock. Great, please be seated. Okay, counsel. Okay. All right. All right. Okay, you should have received another draft of the jury instructions by email. I had them I had Zach do this or Mr. Kramer do this in 14 points, so us older folks can read it, okay? So have you had a chance to review the new draft? Okay, I'd like to have a discussion about jury instructions this afternoon. Why don't we take a half an hour break? And Mr. Frank, if you could send me your suggested language on the non-deadly force. I've got one in here, a clarifying provision in it, but I'd like to see yours. So a half an hour should be enough? Okay. Okay, we'll reconvene at 2:30. Yes, you may be excused. I mean, she's coming back for jury instruction argument, right? Okay. So, 2:30.
All right, everyone. We are wrapping it up for the day as far as trial goes. Guess we'll be doing the closing arguments on Monday. What did you guys think of the remainder of her testimony? In my opinion, I don't think the crying helped her. I think in some instances it does, but I don't think so. Not in this case. I don't think it did her any favors. Yeah, Paula, I understand not being able to hold back crying, but in this case, she made a mistake by not controlling herself, by not being disciplined, and then kind of loses control again here in the courtroom. And I feel like that doesn't help her in this situation. I'm not trying to say whether she was real crying or fake crying, just the way that she did it to look as if you're losing control when you're being charged of a crime because you didn't have control of what you were doing. I don't think that made her look good, but that's just my opinion. I see all of you have very different opinions. Some of you are walking that ban line, but no one's crossed it yet. Haven't had to ban anyone today, and we're going to wrap this up before one of you decide to take that leap. Either way, I appreciate all of you for being here. You guys are super awesome. Big shout out to everyone that made donations, joined the membership program, or purchased any merch. I really appreciate you guys, and I wouldn't be able to do this without you. So thank you so much for being here. I do not know if there's going to be protesting or anything like that today, but it is Friday, so you never know. I do have some running around I have to do, stuff I haven't been able to do all week because we've been covering the trial. But I will be back in time for any kind of civil unrest that's going on, if it is going to happen. And I will let you guys know. So please make sure you're a part of the Discord. Everyone in the Discord is the first to hear from me on anything and everything happening. It's kind of a behind the scenes kind of perpetual chat. So definitely join the Discord. All right, I'm going to get running. Hope you guys have a good afternoon. Maybe I'll see you later if there's civil unrest. But until the next live, stand tall, shine bright, and that's a wrap.